All right, this might be the most complicated part. Let's make the navigation. So it says to, in your top section of div, give it a dark background, right? So if I just grab this section right here, this is where our header is going to be, and I just go ahead and switch the background. Where is the background? There it is down here, right? And I just give it some color. Notice they all change because they all have that same class of section. So we don't want that. What I need to do is select this and actually make a combo class, right? Because there's no real IDs in Webflow. They just have these combos, so like having two classes on something. So I'm going to call this header, and it turned black because I must already have that. So I'm going to rename this class. Oops, no, I'm not going to. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to call this my header. Okay. So now I have to set a dark background, so I just go down to here, find whatever color it is I want. I'll use just a really dark purple right there. Okay, so I've got my dark purple background, and that's fine. What did I do there? How did that get white? Oh, I grabbed something else. I'm on the body. Okay, so now it says, in the components section, there's an add navbar. Add this to your section's container div. So I'll go over here, and I've got a navbar. I think it's down here somewhere. Navbar. Let's put that right inside that container. And we've got this wonderful thing here going on. This is the brand, so I don't need that. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And what else does it say? By default, this uses Webflow's smaller, I'd say remove the brand, max size. You need to drag the nav menu outside of the container. Okay, so this container is that one that they've written that's only 960. So all I have to do is drag this nav menu, outside of it, but still in navbar, the menu button outside there, go to this container, delete it. Okay, so now it's going to my width, how I want it. So right now I want it to be that same color. I'll just go ahead and remove any color whatsoever so I could see the thing behind it. Okay, that's great. Give each nav link a class of nav link. So these are the nav links, right? And so again, I can't use nav link because I have them styled. I'll call them nav link 2. I'll grab this one, call it nav link 2. Grab this one, call it nav link 2. Okay. And I say, make sure your navlink text is readable over your color by changing the color of the text. So since they all have the same class on them, they'll all respond to me changing the color. So here's color right here. Go ahead and just make it a very light gray. That's great. Use the hover state to make the backgrounds and text color of your navlinks change on mouse color. Don't forget you can check how this works in the preview. Okay. So how do we get to the navigation state? We would go over into settings, and we would say, maybe it's right here. Oh, here it is right here. We don't go in settings. We stay right here. Again, I don't use Webflow. Over here to hover. So now we've got the hover state on and nothing's happening. So whatever I change here will change the hover. So I want to change the background color. Whoops, not the color of the text. I want to change the, whoops, I unclicked it, of course. Now I got to go back and do that. And I'm going to say, let's change the background color to, oh, I like that. Let's do that right there. So that's going to be the hover color. I'm actually going to add that in to right there because I might want to use that color again. So I have that. So now let's check it on preview. And you see that when I hover over all of these, they get that wonderful style. Wonderful. And now it's customary to mark the page you are on visually. Add an active class to your home link and make the background color the same as your hover. So I'm going to grab this one, and now I don't have it in hover. I'm going to combo class this one to have, I'm going to call this active 2. Because again, I have something going on with mine because I have multiple things. And I'm going to go ahead and give that background color the same color I did there. And so now that will stay that color. So it'll be like, wah, 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 there we go. Perfection, right? That's number 12. All right, so number 13, change the text to a Google font that isn't in the drop-down list of fonts. And what I mean by that is, so we're working on these home links, right? And let's just be on a general one so it goes to all the nav links. And in the typography section, right, you'll see a drop-down list. And so what I don't want you to do is just pick one of these things in the drop-down. I want you to actually know how to load a Google font in this or other fonts. And so you're going to go to Project Settings, and you'll go to Fonts. And from here, this is where you get all of the Google fonts, right? That if you went to fonts.google. So I'm going to go ahead and pick, I'll just pick Libra Baskerville, because why not? And I don't need it in bold. If I need it in bold or italic, right, I'd obviously have to click on these, but I'm just going to go ahead and add the font. You see I had added a font here. I'll delete that one because I don't need it anymore. You could upload fonts. You could go for Adobe fonts, but we don't need to. So I need to go back to the designer. And of course, navigate back to where I need to be, which I actually paused this video and created a new version because I screwed something up. And right, I need to have my nav link selected. And so now I'm going to find that font that I made in the typography section. So I want Libra Baskerville. Wonderful. I already did change it to 16 pics off the video here, but just go ahead and do that. So now it says number 15, by default, the nav bar is on the right. Figure out how to make it on the left. There's a CSS property applied to nav bar that you have to remove. So where is the nav bar? Here it is right here. So it's actually not applied to nav bar, and that's a mistake. It's actually applied to the nav menu, I believe. So the nav menu has a float here, a float of right. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to turn off the float. Really, left or turning it off was probably saying, actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and float it left. No, I'm going to turn off the float. And then the nav, you'll notice that the difference between when I have float on and float off is that when I have float on, it only is this wide, and the nav bar takes up the entire space. When I do it, that'll make it easier in the other context, the context of the smaller breakpoints. So by default, the menu changes to a hamburger menu and drop down on tablet view. Change the menu icon for settings so it changes to phone large and below. And for that, you have to have the nav bar selected and go into the settings. And that's this right here. So you can have it always appears, tablet and below, phone large and below. So right here, this is the setting we want. And that just simply means that, so we still see it in tablet, right? Is this tablet? Tablet. It becomes a drop down in phone, mobile, landscape, and below. So let's change the background, change the hamburger icon background to the same color when the navigation is open, but not when it is closed. To this same color. What this same color am I freaking talking about? So I have no idea what that means. That's probably something I should have written better. Change the hamburger icon background to this same color when the navigation is open, but not when it is closed. Change the menu color to work in both open and closed context. And so what I really mean is just, you'll see right here, there's a little hamburger symbol somewhere. Should be. Oh, there it is. It's over here. It's floating to the right. I have too much brightness going on here in my room. So I'm going to change that icon so that when it's not open, let's go ahead and make it, well, I'm going to change the background color. So let's change it to, I'm going to change the background color. Let's go to our active color. Where's the colors? Color, right? So backgrounds, I remember I have this menu button here. I'm going to go ahead and give it that color right there. I also wanted to show you how to change this color. It's actually just part of the typography, however they built this. So you can just simply change the color here to something like that. And then to get it to the open context so that you can change it for when it's open, what you're going to do is go to, well, first you need to have navbar selected. Go into the settings, say open the menu. So now this is how it looks when it's open. And obviously we don't want this gray here. So I'm going to stay on navbar because I think that gray is coming from that, and it is not. Where is it coming from? Well, let's go to nav menu and see what it has. So nav menu does have this background, so I probably want it to be our wonderful purple color. Then this right here, right, the menu button probably then also needs, let's see, so it's telling me that the color is Indian red, so what could possibly be coloring that? And so I'm looking for something, what could be coloring that? It's really weird. I don't see what could possibly be coloring this gray right here. But the whole point is I want you to change the background color. So what happens here? There we go. Okay, so for whatever reason, I don't see it using the gray. It says it had the Indian red on it that I have. But hopefully then what that does is change what it looks like. So if we preview, right, when I have it open, it changes the colors. We do there. That's all I really want you to do, is to get that concept that you can change the colors based on whether it's open or not open. It will do that. Use a positioning value to make the header section stay at the top of the viewport no matter how far you scroll. Note, if you did this right, you probably have to fix the width. Maybe you don't actually in Webflow. Let's see here. So I have this. This is I got to grab my section with my header, and I need to go down here to position, and I want to position it at fixed. Now we can change how it's fixed right here, but we just want the regular top here, so we can just leave it as is when we click on it. And the next thing is I need to make sure its width, so its width does change. So I'm just going to go into here to width and say, hey, make me 100%. There we go, right? And I'm working at this context because this is where these changes happen. It really doesn't matter in these ones, right? So it's just, remember, you're working from largest to smallest in Webflow. Leave the home link to do nothing, stays on this page. The next link to go to another page on your website. So you can set the links here. So let's make sure we're in the largest context. And let's see here. So when I have a link selected, I have to go into my things and link settings right here, right? So if you're going to a page inside, it'll automatically do it for you. We're going to a page in ours. So let's just pretend I'm going to, I don't know, page1.html, right? That's all that you have to do there. That's what I want you to know how to do. Use a relative path. You may have to leave this in edit later when you go to the next page, right? Make the next link jump to your footer section. Okay, so we need a footer section first of all. So I'm gonna grab this last section. And when you have this, oops, I want to make sure that I have the section grabbed. And when we go in here to settings, you'll see this ID. They don't use IDs as much as you might use IDs when you're coding. And actually, to tell you the truth, it really, you should use them kind of sparsely. So I'm going to call this the ID of footer. And, right, so now I need to jump down to that. So I'll go to this contact, which will go to our footer. Again, I'm still in the element settings. And so I need to jump down to a page section. And I'm going to go down to footer, right? That's it. It automatically kind of has these things for you. And that works right there. Make the last link go to an external website. Okay, so I'm screwing up. Apparently, is there supposed to be 4 links? Because this is make the last link go to an external website. So why don't I just add another link real quick? I probably glazed over something in the instructions about adding another link. So how do I add another link? You'll actually just go, see, I have the nav, really when you actually have anything selected in the nav bar, you'll have in your settings a lot of these options. And so I'm just going to go to add link, and I'm going to make sure that this link has a nav link to, right? That's what we've been working with. And, change the text, some somewhere. Sine vibe. Close enough. And last link to go to an external website. So I have it set. I go in here. I just go ahead and type in, right, http:// I don't know, cnn.com. And there it is. That is the entirety of the header section completed. All right, so now we need to go back to number 20 and address that one, the positioning value, so it stays at the top of the viewport. And so we really want to make sure we're working in the largest context and we don't put it on right here because then it would only affect from here and below. So we want to go up to the top here. We'll select our header section, right? And we have this combo class, so it'll only affect that, what we do here. So we're going to change this position to fixed. And now you'll notice that it only grows to the width of the content. And so we easily fix that by making sure the width is at 100%. And we just kind of make sure everything looks wunderbar down here. You know, one thing I don't like is having this on the right, I'm sorry. So I'm going to grab that and I'm going to put it, I'm going to take off the float that's in here somewhere, I'm sure. There it is, there's the float, and I'm just going to turn that off. Ooh, don't like that. Float left. There we go. So I'll just float it left, and so now it looks like that. And I think that right there is ideal for our thing here. Don't know why that got smaller. Oh, I'm doing it wrong. I should be doing these buttons, right? So there it is.